Well, hey there, everybody. This is Bill O'Leary, just getting myself situated. Hey, I'm coming to you live here as part of our weekly. I go live every Thursday on Thursday, and I give a talk that's part of our Thirsty Thursday series. I dive into a talk every week that relates to sort of what I do for a living. I'm an attorney, estate planning, elder law, and probate, and my firm is Legacy Planning Law Group in Jacksonville, Florida. So, what I want to do is jump into this topic. And so if you're thirsting for knowledge, just stick with me. You're in the right place. The topic of this video is transferring ownership of your stocks to your elderly parents and how that could limit your tax bill. So let's say you happen to own stocks or mutual funds, and let's say you've owned them for a long time, and let's say they've gone up a lot in value over the period that you've owned them. And maybe they've gone up a lot. I mean, the stock market's gone up, historically over the last 20, 30, 40 years, in recent years, by a lot. So, but what then would happen with those stocks you've held for a long time? What would happen if you sell them? Well, you'll probably have to pay tax, maybe even a lot of tax, depending on how much they've gone up in value. We call that capital gains tax. Is there a way that you can make that tax go away? Well, there most certainly is. So let's say you have an elderly parent who, is not really that many years away from passing away. Or let's say they might be sick, but they're not on their deathbed. And let's say your parent has a relatively small estate. And let's say also that you have a great relationship with your parent, and they're going to end up giving their estate to you, or maybe to you and some other family members. Well, if these circumstances exist, this presents a great sort of planning opportunity to wipe away the tax hit that you would incur if you sold those stocks now. Here's how it works. You give the stocks to your parent now. Then your parent does a will, or better yet, a trust, or maybe updates an existing will or trust to say that the stocks that they are getting from you, they're going to be giving back to you when they die, again, through their will or their trust. Doing this will wipe away the tax hit when the stocks come back to you after your parent dies. Think it's too good to be true? Well, it's not too good to be true. In fact, it is true and quite legal. But before I sort of explain how it works, I want to explain or talk about a basic tax concept we call basis. What is basis? Well, let me use a simple example to explain. Let's say you buy a stock for $10,000 and you've held it for a long time. And today it's worth $30,000. That would not be unrealistic. Well, if you were to sell the stock now, there would be a capital gain of $20,000, which is the difference between what you paid for it a long time ago, the $10,000, and what you sell it for today, $30,000. So simple math, 30,000, what you sell it for today minus 10,000, what you paid for it back then is $20,000. That would be your capital gain, and you'd pay capital gains tax on that $20,000 of capital gain. Now, what if? So back to the $10,000. What you originally paid for that stock, that $10,000, that is called your basis. And see, all basis is, it's a great way to measure your investment in an asset, in this case, in the stock, what you paid for it, basically. It's a way to make sure you don't end up paying tax twice, that you don't end up paying tax on the original investment. Because after all, that wouldn't be fair, right? You already paid tax on the $10,000 that you used to buy the stock to begin with. You probably earned that $10,000 in your job, paid income tax. So we don't want to pay tax on that twice. Now with respect to the gift to your parent, how does that work? Well, it can be done in one of two ways. First, you can make an outright gift of the stock. The second way is to keep the stock, keep ownership of the stock, but grant your parent what's called a general power of appointment over the trust. I'm not going to get into the second way, the power of appointment, in this video. I want to focus on the first way, just making an outright gift of the stock to your parent. Now, once the gift is made, your parent takes over that same $10,000 basis that you had in the stock in the example I just gave. And then if they turn around and sell the stock after receiving it as a gift, if they sell it before they die, well, guess what? They're going to have to pay the same capital gains tax that you would have to pay if you had kept it, not made a gift of it, and you sold it. You both incur the same tax. But what if instead of selling the stock, your parent decides to keep it? Again, after they've gotten it from you as a gift, they keep it until they die, and then they give it back to you through their will or their trust. Well, now when it comes back to you, now you own that stock, and it's worth, well, $30,000 in this example. So then what is your basis in this stock? Is it the original $10,000 basis, what you paid for it originally? It's not. Instead, your basis is now $30,000, which is what it was worth when your parent died. That capital gain that would have been realized if it was sold before death, what we call lurking capital gain, it lurks there until it's sold, that is wiped away for good. The slate is wiped clean. The basis is adjusted to the value on the date of your parent's death. We often call that a step up in basis because most of the time assets go up in value. And then let's say that you get the stock back to you through your parents' will or trust, and it's worth $30,000. That's your new basis in the asset. You turn around the next day and you sell it for $30,000. It hasn't gone up in value over the course of that one day. You pay zero capital gains tax. Why? Because your new basis in the asset and what you sold it for are the same number, $30,000. This is called upstream planning, which means gifting assets upstream to your parents rather than the more typical scenario of giving downstream to children. Now, as with anything, there are a few cautionary points. First, when you give the stock, yes, you will have made a taxable gift to your parent. But the good news is that there will be no gift tax owed, at least for most people. Only the very wealthy, you see, with big estates might be concerned with having to pay a gift tax. Second point, the value of the stock when your parent dies is going to be included in their estate for death tax purposes. But the good news again, very few people in this country have an estate that's big enough to have a death tax problem. Third cautionary point, your parent has to live for at least 1 year after you make the gift for this sort of technique to work. If they die within that first year, you do not get a step up in basis when they die. So don't do this if they're on their deathbed. Fourth point, make sure your elderly parent does not have a problem with creditors. What do I mean by a creditor? I'm not thinking so much that they don't pay their credit card bills, but instead think that they get into a car accident and it's their fault. Here comes the injury lawyer. Your parents' assets may be exposed to that claim, including the stock that they gave you because they own it at that point. And the last point, make sure your elderly parent will carry out your wish that you give it back to them when they die. They could always change their mind. So as I said at the beginning of this talk, this upstream planning only works where a child and a parent has a great and loving and trusting relationship. Hey, you want to learn more about this upstream planning? We invite you to schedule a free 15-minute phone call with our team, our discovery call as we call it. Scheduling is quite easy. Just go to our website, Legacy Planning Law Group, click on the Book Your Free Call button, takes you to a booking calendar. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, just click on the clickable box appearing at the bottom now, and it'll take you to the same booking calendar. If you've enjoyed this video, we'd ask that you like it or share it with your friends. And by the way, speaking of the YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe. We're putting up more and more video content all the time. So I do hope you've enjoyed this talk about transferring ownership of stocks to your elderly parents and how it could limit your tax hit. I will be back next Thursday at about the same time with a different Thirsty Thursday topic. Different topic, same goal, which is to quench your thirst for knowledge and information. So, Bill O'Leary, I'm going to sign off for now. On behalf of everybody here at my office, Team Legacy, as we call ourselves, go make it a great day and a better world. Thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with us.